Taking stock of the local situation in the energy field, after 5 years of activities of the Malta Intelligent Energy Management Agency, Miema, which I represent, we can safely say that the establishment of the agency was an effective and timely contribution to the island's efforts to a more sustainable energy future. Thanks to its participation in projects such as this one, Miema has shared experiences with its partners, municipalities and energy agencies from around the Mediterranean, and learned significantly in the process. In turn, this experience was shared with the Maltese policymakers and local councils in their ongoing strategies to tackle vital energy matters. Malta's heavy dependence on fossil fuels, its monopolistic distribution network, and vulnerable, isolated state, both geographically and infrastructurally, at least now, up until now, we still are an isolated system until the interconnector links up to the European grid. Our isolated state renders more difficult the country's energy situation. Furthermore, its small territorial size and high population density increase the challenge to exploit renewable sources like wind and solar energy, of which there is an abundant supply. The wind over these 2 days was quite an experience, even for us. The agency has therefore campaigned to reduce energy demand, raising public awareness on the need for energy conservation and efficiency measures while promoting renewables. And this project has focused specifically on how to integrate renewables, the installations of renewables, within the landscape. In our case, the landscape, because of the even the cultural heritage, not just the rural environment that we have, it is particularly important to come up with guidelines which can take into account our local situation and provide the necessary support and guidance needed by the policymakers specifically on this issue. We have signed the Landscape Convention, but there were no guidelines on how these PVs, the solar farms that we want to set up, can be integrated in the landscape. And this project has certainly contributed through the experience shared with all the partners, the participation process that we conducted locally, and the research carried out, the action plan, the scenarios we examined to come up with these guidelines which can help the policymakers when taking the decisions on the best way to go about the installations of these renewable energy sources in our context. Throughout these years, Miema has collaborated with the national players in the energy field. It also managed to build a strong relationship with sectoral and professional associations, industrial groups, civil society organizations, and environmental NGOs. Municipalities are taking steps to turn their localities into sustainable communities. Half of all Maltese municipalities have signed the Covenant of Mayors and expressed their commitment to fight climate change, which incidentally will be hitting Malta hard. In fact, now we have a minister who is focusing on specifically on climate change and the initiatives we need to take to counteract this phenomenon. At a time when energy issues are making the headlines, our citizens rightly demand to be given a reliable service to help them take the right decisions and actions where their energy needs are concerned. Businesses cannot afford to lose their competitiveness due to higher electricity costs. Likewise, the hospitality industry, a main pillar of the Maltese economy, has no choice but to reduce energy consumption to survive. Miema will continue to serve these entities when they seek professional advice and guidance. I believe our presence here today is an indication of our commitment to support the European drive to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, fight climate change, and switch to a low-carbon economy, so vital for our well-being. Miema will continue to participate in initiatives like this project to achieve its vision of a secure and sustainable energy future for all of us. I would like to take this opportunity, finally, to thank Javier, our project officer, who has been a constant support throughout the project lifetime and who has helped us to deliver what we set out to do. And his contribution was very much appreciated. Thank you. I would also like to thank all the project partners who have worked so well with us, and thanks to whom we have, I think, managed to succeed what we set out to do. The local stakeholders who have helped us in the participation process in the needs that we had throughout this project. And I would also like to thank our own staff, particularly Diane, the project manager for Miema, who will be joining us later today, who have worked so hard to make this project a success. I thank you for your interest in the results of our projects, which will be discussed today. But we shall also focus today not just on the past, on what we did and on what we achieved, but on the future. Not simply the past work, but the dissemination of the results. How are we going to now build on what we have studied and researched, and on the deliverables that we have produced? How are we going to disseminate the results and the possibilities for capitalization, which Javier has already discussed, and which we shall be discussing all the partners now on how we can capitalize further on this project. I hope you will find the conference interesting, and I invite you to get in touch with us, to collaborate with us on our initiatives for the good of our communities. Finally, thank you also to Narsi, who is helping us on getting you to get more involved in our work through his experience in communications.